folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And in this adventure I've come to a location randomly. I was just on this road thinking I have never been on this road, and then I noticed this, and this is a crazy abandoned structure that me and the channel DJ found last year, and we thought at the time it was like some mad World War II radar installation or whatever. But then once I got home, consulted with my owl man, he told me it was actually an old stone crushing facility which catered to a quarry at the top of the hill. And it's so interesting to see this because the amount of cement used, again, it just looks incredible, and it looks like some mad like post-apocalyptic building. There is actually livestock up in this top field, so I'm coming with like the greatest respect to like the landowner and the farmer here. I'm just literally coming to document this piece of abandoned history here, and just check it out. Just a mad industrial scene today on the video. The first time we came, we were trying to figure out what it even was. The amount of work which has been done here at a certain time. And you can see along here there's massive big supports where there had been a big conveyor belt leading on to this area. And at a location like this, they would have had a conveyor belt coming from the top of the hill. And on the last time we came, we went up there and found the platform where the conveyor belt had been. But it just looks like some mad like Cold War bunker when you see it here. Check out the way it's constructed with this strong stone arch, and that must have been the main pedestal for the big stone crusher up there, with a conveyor belt coming over the top and dropping into it. But I can also see there's been some massive like iron beams and things right across here. There's been a lot more cement and things, and I think it's been more of a platform. Look at this, how the beams have been gassed off. Wow, it's so overgrown. Check that out, trees and things. Yeah, when we first saw it, we were convinced it was World War II history. And like when we explored it, we were trying to figure out exactly what it was. And on today's adventure, I had no idea I was about to find this once again. This is basically the Glenbervie area. It's kind of near Stonehaven. And it's just a beautiful piece of landscape. I was going to go up to one of the little harbours, one of the little coastal villages today, but it was so busy. There wasn't even a spare parking space. So I've just been on a wee drive around the countryside, seeing what I see. And then this is what I end up running into. It's just a crazy scene of abandoned industrial Scotland for a change. It's mad to have a rich variation of like houses or World War II stuff, or even industrial sites like this. So much was done at one time for the sorting out of the stone. And the quarry at the top of the hill is massive, but because there's cows with cafes in the field, I'm not going to risk going up there. I love seeing stuff like this, folks, and just imagining the way it was constructed. They've put wooden shuttering in, a bit like I spoke about at the World War II bunker. I think it was in the last video. Things like this would have been constructed exactly the same. Look, there's an old bolt head lying down here. Maybe part of the machinery was bolted on with that. Look at the thick rebar. See, there's been a lot more higher up. And that must have been what was bulldozed down into the hole here. Even these parts here were potentially from higher sides, because there's no obvious place where they've broken off. Not unless they were sitting on top of those metal beams, but there's been even higher metal beams. So it's an interesting site. And it was probably operational for a good few years. Yeah, a scene like this, folks, when you're walking through this like abandoned cement work and stuff, it's almost like you're visiting planet Earth years after humans have like disappeared. These sites are all so unique and so different, but they've all got their wee nuggets of the history, little stories to tell. Different ways that people have managed the land or earned money from the land over the years. This particular landowner's had the quarry maybe a local farmer or whatever, which realised he had a fantastic like hill with the right type of stone or whatever it was they were doing. I can actually see there's been like a lintel, either piece of wood or like a lintel stone going right across there, and it's gone. So it must have been a wooden lintel of sorts. Things like this could have been built most likely in the 1900s at some point, I would reckon. Maybe closed down in the 60s or the 70s. I'm just gonna make my way around the structure and document what's left. It's cool to imagine just how it looked originally with the conveyor belts, and probably the reason they built them like that, so it was an isolated platform, is because of the amount of movement and vibration caused from the breaking of the stones. Stones would have been broken up and graded, maybe multiple grinding machines or stone breaking machines around this site. It's just crazy how it's just here though, in the middle of this mad landscape. It's just wild Glen here, Glenbervie, and then this massive industrial construction in the middle of it. See, there's maybe even been another conveyor or something coming out of this section. I love the way all the steps and things is built up the side of it as well. It's just like coming to another planet on these adventures sometimes. Wow folks, it's the realest of adventures once again on the channel this week. Yeah, check it out here, I'm gonna jump up. Yeah, it's so thick because it's of industrial construction. It's obviously over engineered to the max, built with strong concrete and rebar, and that's why it does look like a military building, because obviously bunkers and things for the military were built to like put up against blasts or whatever. Look, there's been like a bit of rebar here originally, which means there might have been a platform right around. But yeah, like I was saying, the military buildings were built to put up with like high explosions or impacts for devices, whereas these were more built massively for the scale of the industry which took place on top of them. And look at that, it's like oil and grease or whatever it was from the machine which at one time sat with on this plinth. It's like an oily, greasy type material. I'm being super careful because I'm obviously on the edge of the construction here, but up here I can see it's maybe been electric motors or whatever. Like there's where the brackets have been attached. Because of these summer conditions, you can see the grass is all yellow and dead here, and that's because of the extreme heat that we've had recently. It's just all this grass has just dried up. Yeah, this has been like some sort of platform here as well, because I can see like there's holes in it and things, so there must have been stuff mounted here. And then I was just thinking over the back must have been where the original conveyor belt came over. A lot of this stuff's just been gassed off, most likely scrapped. It was probably heavy, massive equipment, judging from what I'm seeing here. It's just a mad place to explore with all the little nooks and crannies and different things sticking out from every angle. It just looks insane. It's like some big old Soviet rocket launching platform or something. It's got some mad abandoned vibes for sure. Now I need to try and navigate over to this. Wow, I was just a way to push off that corner and look, it moves. It's moving under my foot. That's why people have to be so careful if they're exploring. If that snapped off, I could have dropped into the hollow. Always explore within your means. When I'm on these adventures, I'm obviously trying to document little details of the history. Things that may go missing or lost after time. Yeah, there's another plinth here within this bush. Maybe another motor or piece of grinding equipment even, for grinding up the stones. The whole way around here, look at that, it's like studs and different mechanisms must have been bolted around. And then this must have been at the kind of back area, because there's no sign of the steps going any higher up. Oh wait, there's a green fly on that stone. I don't know if it even comes out on the camera, the colour of it. Yeah, I'll head round the other side and we'll take another look. We'll get a different perspective on this place, folks. Check it out here as well, look at that. There's some big holes being like bored. There must have been some sort of equipment or whatever mounted onto these holes. Yeah, there's more here. It is interesting to see these structures and document them at a certain time in their history. Look at that as well, there's been a drain system leading the way down, maybe coming out below the hill. Yeah, I think all this cement that we are seeing here has actually been this wall. The wall at this side has actually been of equal height as the wall at the far side. See, that's the kind of historical detail I love uncovering, and that makes sense, because you can see how all this stones and stuff here is around this side, which is actually lower. And the reason it's fallen down at this side may be because it doesn't have that extra support like that side there. It's got like a big gusset on the side. But it looks to me like there's been a conveyor. It's maybe been coming down into that big section and then across onto this other bit that we've seen here, and then over onto some of this. And look, there's been big motors. It's like there's been a dual motor system here, turning the conveyor, or maybe turning multiple conveyors. This is so cool, folks. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know like what these cutouts in the wall here were doing. There's some proper big slices leading down. That was maybe just when they were constructing it, or it might have actually had a purpose. Yeah, so you can just imagine it when all that was of equal height right around there. And all the noise from this, it must have been grinding and churning and crashing. And the noise must have all been directed. Probably if your house was at the far side of Glenbervie there, you would have just heard it the whole time. Whenever a big chunk of rock went through, it was probably, you can just imagine it, a mad scene of industrial Scotland. And look at it, this wall's starting to crack. And it's actually leaning out up at that side. It is almost like looking at some big gun emplacement or something from the war. All the places I've explored, this is the first time I've seen an abandoned stone crushing facility. But since I realised that's what this is, I've actually noticed other ones similar to this at different locations, and one day I will try and explore some of them, but sometimes the time just has to be right for going to some places. Yeah, let's go over here and we'll get a slightly different perspective on this place from further back. Wow, see the size of that cement there, just like towering up. And look, it's had proper like cement built all the way around here. Just goes to show the amount of work that went into places like this. And that giant wall there is literally like 3 stories high. Wow, folks, let's take it all in before we go. Yeah, this must be the only thing which is now holding the wall up. It's got like a whole gusset, which does look like an original feature, I must say, because it's got the proper foundation and stuff around there. Yeah, the weight of the soil and the earth on the back of this must be incredible. And it is incredible also to think about like how they've built all this, considering it was just for the big stone crusher in the middle. This must have all been needed because of the amount that it would have moved about and like maybe eroded the embankment. This was all part of the main structure, maybe for the weight of stone as well, which was going along the conveyors and stuff. It probably had to all be really strong. But anyway, there we go. Once again, folks, documenting something different on the channel. Look at that, the thistles there, the sign of Scotland. If you grabbed a hold of one of them, you would soon know about it. Look at this, it's like there's been another stone or something maybe into here. Look how white the cement is with the ore coming out through it. Wow, look at it here. Somebody's broken it off, but the ore's been so thick there that it's actually starting to like cover up the opening. Look, those strange spiders, they've got like tiny bodies and really like long legs. And look at that one, there's a different type of spider chilling there. That's the thing with these sites, nature just takes back over. It becomes the perfect habitat for spiders and flies and beasts like that. Wow, and this was just spontaneous, like I say. I was coming the opposite direction on this road and I thought to myself at the bottom of that hill, I was thinking I've never been on this road before. And then 2 seconds later I realised that I have, when I noticed this magnificent structure. But I always say spontaneous adventures is when you find the coolest things. And it must have been some rumble when all that stuff was like bulldozed down into this hole. Look at the moss there, folks, it just takes back over. I love the difference like with the green moss and the grey sandstone. It just makes such an excellent shot. Everything's got such a character to it, or an atmosphere. It's like a post-apocalyptic atmosphere. And that's what I love when I'm on these adventures. It's almost like travelling through time, seeing things from different generations, seeing what's left of history, which is constantly falling down or decaying. And I can also see around the front there's been a lot more construction originally, which is all either fallen down or been knocked down. Look, even this stone here's got brackets in it. Everything's got these threaded brackets or mounts where at one time there was maybe like, I think potentially motors or pulleys. This was most likely holding the front wall. I've seen that before in places. Probably these stones here originally came from up here. And it must have been an impressive place when it was in its original working order, when it was in its prime, freshly built. It must have just been an incredible place to see in action. It must have been such a loud place. The way these poles and things are just like eroded away. Crazy, folks. Crazy scenes once again on the channel. And it's in such a peaceful spot as well, even though it would have been so loud and so industrial originally. Nowadays it's just pure silence. The sound of the birds tweeting, or the cows mooing. Look, this one's had some sort of bracket on it, I'm not sure what for. And then underneath here I can see there's been some absolutely massive thick rebar, folks. This is an incredible detail of this site, which I don't know if I even recorded it the last time. Look at that. Oh no, that's hollow. Yeah, so actually that would have been a drain pipe or something. I was thinking that this was incredibly thick rebar, but it must just be drains which originally drained this site. And that could have been the top of one of the pipes that we saw at the top of the stairs. Yeah, it's mad when you see the wee corridors and stuff leading on and under the hill. So there you go, folks, once again documenting just some random historical wonder. It's of incredibly massive scale, and this time it's for industrial purposes. It's been so special to come back here. I love seeing history and things like that which I can climb about on and take in every detail. And it was perfect on a summer's day like today. Glenbervie. And like I said earlier, it's just kind of near Stonehaven in the wild landscape of Scotland. And it is a true abandoned wonder. So I was just thinking maybe the people who built this are actually some of the people who, like the same people who built the World War II defences and things like that. Because after like the war and after the times when they couldn't... Oh, I'm just noticing there's a cow coming right in here. But yeah, after the war was over, they would have had skills and stuff for building strong cement constructions from like when they built the pillboxes or military bunkers. So it's proper cool to think like they might have been the same people that built a stone thing like that, using their skills they had learned. I was just a bit on edge as I was coming over there because that cow was making its way down. But like I say, I always come with the greatest of respects to the farmer, the landowner. And that cow's probably going down there to the trough for a drink of water. Wow. It's all sorts of scenes on this channel, folks. Countryside at its finest. The beauty of nature with the rawest abandoned history hidden in the middle of it. And I do my best just to navigate through all this to bring the best content to the channel. Sometimes at this time of year things are just so overgrown. It's so hard to get to certain places. When I find a thing like this and document it once again, it's just amazing. And I just love it when the weather's dry like this and warm. Yeah, I can hear the cow sucking up the water. Must be so thirsty in this weather. Here comes another one. This is what cows are like. If one or two of them come down, they'll all end up coming down. But it was really sound that they let me have a walk about there before they came down. Yeah, cows must drink a serious amount of water. He's been drinking steady. I should say she's been drinking steady water since I came here. Here we go, folks. Here's the second cow coming. It's a way to go for a drink. There's even a third cow coming down. I was just away to end this video, but we're getting some cow action right here, folks. I love this scene as well. It's almost like a painting. It's a painting you could have in your house. Anyway, I'm going to go, folks. This was a cool adventure. I'm going to end this one here. Thanks very much for watching. I've enjoyed seeing what we've seen today on the adventure. It's been a crazy piece of abandoned history in the lands of Glenbervie here. The wild agricultural lands of Scotland. And look, the cow's coming over now, it's had a drink. Hiya! Look at him. Just as I was doing the outro, the cow was going to come over. See that, folks? And on this channel, we're at one with nature right here. And animals. He's got so many flies fleeing around on his eyeballs and stuff, it's a shame. Hiya! Hello! Cows and stuff like that are wary, but they're sound animals really. You would get hurt from a cow most likely because it would be clumsy, like accidentally. It probably wouldn't hurt you out of anger. It would hurt you out of stupidity. Come. You know, coming over? Anyway, folks, there we go. A crazy ending to the video with this cow. It was almost coming over to get its head patted. It's like it's more tame. Once I start speaking to the camera, it's like the cow gets more relaxed. All of them's coming down for a drink of water now. See, if I keep speaking to the camera, this cow's just going to keep coming closer and closer. It keeps waving her head about to get rid of those flies. Anyway, I'm going to end this one here, folks. Thanks very much for watching. It's been a fun adventure, but I'm going to end it here anyway. And I'll be back soon with the next one, wherever I end up going.